Good evening.
Hi, Kelly. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Diane. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Loving on that new baby, I'm sure.
I know. I've only got to see her once. I got to get back up there.
Yeah.
I get pictures and videos every day.
Aw.
I'm prejudiced, but I think she's kind of cute.
I think she is too.
Good evening, AC Valley, and welcome to the August 9th, 2021 Allegheny Clarion Valley School Board Workshop. Tonight's meeting will be conducted virtually, and I'm happy to have all the school board members, administrators, and members of the public at tonight's meeting. As a friendly reminder, just keep your mic turned off until you're ready to speak. With the start of school just around the corner, we have many items to cover tonight. So I plan to get started with the agenda review as soon as Tammy Thompson does the roll call. Tammy?
Carrie Armagost,
Here.
Megan Dreher,
Here.
Jen Fight, Diane Page,
Here.
Corey Sherman,
Here.
Lena Southworth,
Here.
Jameen Stump,
Here.
Kelly Terwilliger,
Here.
Mark Vertel.
Here.
Thank you, Tammy. I think Jen's jumping on. She might be just running a little bit late. We don't have anybody here from the public this evening, but we do have a presentation from Ms. Joyce Fosdick. She's from the Keystone Smiles AmeriCorps program, and we have a motion a little bit later on in the agenda to approve a collaborative effort with not only the Blueprint Community Group, who's doing the school garden, but also the AmeriCorps group. So Joyce, at this time, would you like to present some information about your program? Joyce, I think your mic's still muted.
I'm sorry. Good evening. For the last several years, we've been working with Mrs. Raybuck, placing some of the AC Valley students who are interested in preschool, and they served as AmeriCorps members. And that program design was for the school year. The students who had all their work completed, they were released for 3 or 4 hours, and they were able to come and help learn a little bit about early childhood education and also serve as the AmeriCorps member. It's been very successful, and when I met Selena and Congressman Thompson about a month ago, I was able to see the farm garden project, and Selena was explaining how it's kind of hard to maintain the needs of the garden, and I suggested possibly extending the youth corps that we have with Keystone Smiles to help provide some support. So I talked to Mr. McDivitt and Selena, and I would like to propose that we would provide 2 AmeriCorps positions for youth. The students need to be either 17 years of age or older, to help with the farm garden, and possibly maybe if they needed a few extra hours, they might be able to mentor some elementary students. We do that in other school districts in which high school students come over and help elementary children. The position would be about 36 weeks, and the youth would need to serve about 12 hours a week. That fluctuates back and forth. We would need a supervisor, which Selena said she would help with the farm garden. And the youth would earn $240 gross twice a month. And when they completed their term of service, they would earn an education award of $1,678.57. And obviously, if you're familiar with AmeriCorps at all, there is a little bit of a match to help support the expenses of the AmeriCorps members and the services they provide. I've been able to reach out and secure a grant for those matching funds. So I would like to propose tonight that we work with either Mrs. Raybuck, Selena, or Mr. McDivitt and see if we could find a couple students that might be interested in such an opportunity to help out with the garden and other needs that the school may wish to engage them in.
Thanks, Joyce. Are there any questions for Joyce about the AmeriCorps program from any of the school board members or administrators on the line?
These would be AC Valley students, am I correct, David?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Joyce? It sounds like an absolutely wonderful opportunity for our students and the collaboration with the Blueprint Community Group as well.
I think it sounds like a great opportunity as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, Joyce, we appreciate your time this evening, and you can log off or stick in and wait to a little bit later on today, but that's up to you. We'll be formally voting on this next Monday. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Moving on down through the workshop agenda. Next up, are there any board concerns that we need to address at this time? Hearing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. Letter A, we do not have any conferences or field trips in front of you this evening, so we'll move directly into letter B. That's a request from Mrs. Sherman and the kindergarten teachers to have a kinder camp prior to the start of the school year. They'd like to utilize the elementary building, kindergarten area, as well as the cafeteria from 8 to 12:30 to help with transition. And this is a wonderful idea from the staff here at AC Valley, and I'm sure to help that transition with those students and progress their learning even more. So I highly recommend that you approve that motion this evening. Letter C is another very exciting opportunity. We'll be partnering with Limbus Drugs and Megan Greer to offer a vaccine clinic here at the district. Nurse Holly and Nurse Tracy are going to be helping out with that program. We've met a couple different times and we discussed it. I actually sent out a school messenger call to the community, and that will be on August 19th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the junior senior high school. We'll be utilizing the cafeteria as well as the gymnasium area. Letter D is a motion to approve the AmeriCorps program that we just heard from Joyce about. And then letter E is a request from the AC Valley First program and Maria Clark. Maria does a social periodically throughout the year, and she'd like to utilize the buildings on September 14th after school from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And that helps to make the transition for the families into the district as well. And finishing off down through the consent agenda, Mrs. Sherman, as well as the elementary kindergarten teachers, are putting in a request for the kindergarten orientation. And that's an evening where we bring in the families, and school nurse will talk to them, as well as the cafeteria director. Myself will be talking about expectations for the school year and to help again welcome our new families into the district. And then on Monday, August 23rd, Dr. Jordan will be having a 7th grade orientation up at the high school as well. And both of these activities have been going on for a good number of years and really helps to ease the transition from summertime into the academic side of fall. Are there any questions about the items on the consent agenda? We'll move into finance and purchase, which we don't have anything in front of this evening. In your board packets for the school board members, there's the activities report as well as the elementary activities report and the elementary yearbook report as well. And then next Monday, Andrea will be presenting more detailed information about the bills. Under personnel, letter A, we have an employee number 368 submit a FMLA leave, and this employee will be using intermittent leave and will not be utilizing sick days, emergency days, or personal days. So it will not be paid, but they are entitled to up to 12 weeks off. Letter B is a request for Ryan Wilson to be a volunteer with the junior high football program. And then letter C is Jada Collins to be a volunteer with the varsity cheer coach. Jada used to be a cheer coach. She'd like to be a volunteer with the program at this time. Letter D is a resignation from Ashley Ruth. Ashley was a full-time one-to-one student aide up at the junior-senior high school. So my recommendation is to take that resignation and post that opening in-house. And what I foresee is that we can move a part-time aide into a full-time position, and we'll eliminate the part-time position. And according to the contract, we'll move the most senior aide into that position, and we'll go from there. I did meet with the special ed director as well as the school psychologist, reviewed a number of the students' IEPs and needs for the up and coming school year. So I am making a recommendation to hire on a full-time aide to offer the supports needed at this time. Letter F is a request from employee number 70 to utilize FMLA. This employee will be using all the sick days, personal and emergency days built up. So they will be getting paid with their time off for the FMLA. Letter G is a letter of resignation from the athletic director, Dr. Scott DiTullio, dated August 4th. And underneath there is a discussion related to advertising. So we went ahead and already posted that. We have the date of submission due on the 13th, and we'll be meeting with the athletic committee to set up interviews. And we're hoping to have a recommendation to hire on next Monday for the voting meeting. Moving down to letter I, we do have a motion on there to hire Mike Weigel as the head girls golf coach. He's currently the head boys golf coach, and his salary will be $1,237. It'll be the same as him being the head boys coach. In addition to that, we had Bob Bowser submit a letter of request to be a volunteer with the program. Both of these gentlemen are doing a great job by volunteering their time and helping out with that program, because up until last week, we did not have any coaches for that program. So on behalf of Dr. Jordan and myself, we do appreciate both of those gentlemen. Letter K is a motion to hire Gavin Guntram as the assistant junior high football coach at $1,521. And he'll fill one of the junior high positions. Letter L, we had the vacated Title I instructional aid position. We advertised it. Mr. Sherman and myself interviewed Sarah Little, and we're making a recommendation to hire Sarah. She's doing a very similar job at a neighboring school district. She recently moved into the area, and she does have a teaching degree. So she'll be making $1,505 after a probation period. And then letter M is the part-time 3-hour-a-day custodial position that's been vacant. We had a letter of submission from Kaylin Schaefer and recommendation from Mark Milford to hire her. And she is a student up at the high school, so she'll be working after the school day, and after the probation period, she'll be making $15.88 per hour. And then the final item under personnel is on the top of page 3. That's just an update about the contracts for the athletic trainer, food service director, meet and discuss group, and then the school police. Attorney Kuhar and myself has met with everybody formally except for Dave Sittler. We've been emailing back and forth because Dave was on vacation. I met with the negotiation committee after our first meeting, and Attorney Tuhard working on contracts. He assures me that they'll be here before the voting meeting, and the employees will have time to review it. And we're hoping to get those in place. Once we have those contracts approved, we'll retroactively approve everything back to July 1st. So whatever kind of pay increase, that'll be retroactively approved at that time. Before I move into instructional services, because we have a number of items to discuss down there, are there any kind of questions or clarification needed for personnel? I know we've got a lot of moving parts there.
David, I just have a question. This kind of stood out to me. The pay rates for the 3-hour custodian being higher than Sarah Little, who is a certified teacher. Is that just due to the contracts? That disturbs me a bit.
That's correct, Karen. That was written within the contracts, and we pulled them up as is. And just keep in mind that we are going into the final year of that contract, and we could take a look at that. And I'd agree with you that title position, the impact that they have on students, maybe that's something we need to look at to increase the pay.
Yeah, I mean, when we're hiring, looking to hire a high school student, for a 3-hour daylight duty custodial position, making more than a Title I instructional aide who is a certified teacher, that just kind of strikes a chord with me a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that as well. The one benefit of that position for the Title I is that it's a full-time position, so a full health care package will come along with that. So, just keep that in mind too. So it's actually a step up for Sarah from what she was actually, where she was at with the number of hours that she was getting. So something we can continue to discuss, and I do appreciate your thoughts, Karen. Okay, moving down into instructional services, letter A, we have an agreement in front of you from the Cranberry Area School District, and that's for a 7th through 12th grade emotional support class. Bill Veneta chose to open up his own classroom over there, and roughly $20,000 per year per student. And that's a significant savings from some of the other programs that we have for students in. Currently, they're full. We have one student that could be eligible for the program. So when they do have an open seat, we'll continue to utilize a collaborative agreement between AC Valley and Cranberry. Letter B, very similar. We have an ongoing agreement with Beacon Lights, Custer City Private School. We don't have any students in that program right now, but from time to time, students will be placed in there for additional supports, and that agreement is in front of the board. And they offer a host of services and a variety of different disabilities for students. And although very pricey, a very effective program. Letter C is a big discussion point tonight, at least from my perspective, because the application for the ESSER 3 money is due on September 1st. So we, as an administrative team in the school district, had a community meeting in July, and then we also posted a survey on the school district's website. I notified the community, and between the two meetings and surveys, we had about 40 people respond back as far as ideas on how to spend the final pot of money. And just keep in mind that we had ESSER 1 come out after March 13th, 2020, and it was $182,671. We had ESSER 2 come out a short time after that. It was $781,332. And then this final installment is ESSER 3, and it's $1,580,408. And we're tracking everything. I've been working very closely with Carrie and Andrea, and there's a lot of work going on within the district office to appropriately spend this money. And it's really important with this ARP-ESSER money, and that's part of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. That's why we just call it ESSER. It's a historic one-time opportunity to target learning loss, to focus in on building upgrades, and we've utilized that money to increase technology. We're doing an HVAC project here at the elementary to increase the air quality, and this last and final installment is going to be presented to the board here this evening. But before I get there, I'd like to just read over some of the information that was presented from our public. Just to give you an overview as far as who responded, the surveys, we had 80% of the respondents as parents, and the meeting that we had was mostly conducted of a combination of employees and parent and community members. So we had a very rich feedback session on both sides. First question we asked was, where did you notice the most learning loss within the students during the pandemic? And that was split between mathematics and ELA, which is reading and English and writing. There was a lot of concerns about cursive writing in here as well. The second question was, how do you feel the learning loss would be best addressed? And there was a variety of different respondents: after school programs, summer school programs, additional supports for students, increased teacher training, smaller groups, and maintaining class sizes. We also had a question on the survey that asked for any kind of additional input on learning losses and suggestions. And we had a host of respondents, and one of it was to maintain the current staff, utilize the money so that we can retain as many staff as possible, even through a declining student enrollment. So we had a respondent say that this needs to be addressed early in their education, and cursive writing needs need to be taught. Educate with scientific, research-based, peer-reviewed curriculums and core materials, and equip teacher with proper trainings. Meeting with students where they are, not where we think they would be. And a few other responses that I've shared with the board. We also have a question within the application that said, what is our biggest concern? What subgroup? And from the survey, our community feels as if students with low income and students with disabilities were impacted the most. We also asked the community if they had any ideas as far as training and strategies. And there was a lot of information that was presented: train the teachers, add additional staffing, adequate remediation, more time spent with struggling students, make all the work count, more push-in instruction, more aids to help out teachers, smaller group learning, less responsibility for the parents, keep the school open. We'd like to see more field trips, more intensive instruction, and a robust online learning program. And then we asked about any kind of training for the teachers, and the community had that spread out between math, reading, social studies, science, and writing. So it was pretty broad as far as that goes. And then we asked, is there any other way, location in the district that you'd like to see the money spent? And there was respondents that said building improvement project, safety and cleanup, additional social and emotional curriculum learning needs, put a new track in. We did have comments about the track at both the face-to-face meeting as well as the online survey, and then small class sizes. I took that information. Aaron, can I share my screen at this time? And I put together a document that I'd like to share with the community at this time. And I just outlined a little bit at the beginning here as far as what that third round of ESSER money looks like, and our responsibility as a school board and administrative staff to spend the money appropriately. So I put together a list of items and shared this with the school board, but I'd also like to go back through it. School van, we have one van right now, but due to increased home visits, daily transportation needs, I'd like to put in a request to get a new school van, all-wheel drive, to help increase our communication and time spent in the community. Continue on with the math coach. I'd like to see a K through 12 school counselor put in, and I just threw down some numbers working with Andrea to try to align with the expected staff members moving into the positions. Administrative supports. There's a lot going on in the main office, and Bill and Lori continue to get inundated with new and additional responsibilities. So to offer those two a little bit more help with the implementation of the remediation programs, I feel that could be very beneficial. And then I also put down the prevention of any kind of staff furloughs due to budget deficits and the declining student enrollment. So I just hypothetically chose the 4 at least senior teachers that we have on campus, and I have that right now presented to you, and that's the overall cost of the $353,536. I also focused in on after-school remediation programs and the summer remediation programs, and just took 8 staff by the stipend and came up with a total of $30,000 for after-school programs, and then estimated $9,000 for the summer school. And again, these are just estimated numbers, and we can move them around depending on our need. I also put down supplies for remediation, $5,000 to support those teachers. And then I met with Jeff and Aaron from the technology department, and we looked at our aging projectors. And down at the elementary, we thought we could swap out a number of their projectors, utilize the ones that we have down here with the additional technology up at the high school as backups. And they had pulled together the cost of $1,390 for an overall cost of $41,700. And then they presented to me the new Epson document cameras, and they said it's a wonderful tool, especially with the online learning. So we have roughly 60 teachers. We thought we'd get everybody a projector, and you can see the cost of $34,740. And then to finish it up, just to ensure that we have reliable connectivity, I put down a item to get the teachers and administrators new laptops at a rough cost of $1,200. That would be $78,000. So we have a projected cost of year 1, which would be the you can see the 22-23 school year, because we're still working on ESSER 2, $810,239,000. Now you'll see in year 2, which would be the 23-24 school year, that a lot of it's redundant, because I want to put a program into place and then continue to support that program. So we want to work with that elementary math coach, the K-12 school counselor, and the additional supports that that person may offer our students. Same administrative support. We had the same 4 staff members, moving up with an estimated increase, salary and benefits, the same after school remediation, same summer school program, supplies for the remediation programs. And then we took a little bit of a different step with the technology. We'll continue to add new Chromebooks. I don't know, maybe 140 Chromebooks right there. We put in at $34,750. And then this is the year ESSER 2 will run out. So we'll utilize ESSER 3 to purchase the technology software to have the online program if need be. And those are rough estimates that Aaron has been working at, just over $21,000 and just over $22,000 up at the high school for that technology cost. And then to help to offset the cost that we have going on with our AC Valley Cyber Service Program, we have an allotment of $25,000 in that area. ESSER 2 again running out, so we'll pick up the additional cleaning supplies for Mark and his crew of $17,500. So the ESSER 3 year 2 would be $732,669. Keep in mind that this money has to be spent by September 30th, 2024. So as we finish off the beginning of that 24-25 school year, I figured we'd be able to utilize the remaining funds for supplies and technology for the after-school program, and then to get one more year of cleaning products for the maintenance and custodial staff. And you can see I pulled together the allotment right there. I had Andrea help out, and that covers the $1,580,408. Are there any questions about the items that are in front of you? Any comments? I'm looking for feedback from the administration or school board at this time. Aaron, you can pull the agenda back up.
My question is, are you just hiring that guidance counselor for 2 years through the grant?
Yeah, that would be the proposal this time, Kelly, because we don't have that written into the budget to continue on with it.
Well, that's my question, because we've discussed the fact that we need to try and recoup some of our losses since we're so much in the hole, and that's why I was wondering if it's not going to be a permanent then position.
We're hoping to get the new person in there, or maybe through attrition, would be able to keep that person on moving forward, depending on the needs. And we can't project out any further. You know, we have a social worker coming in 3 days a week, and I just thought with the addition of the threat assessment put back on the school counselors and the other social emotional learning needs that they have, any kind of help that they'd have right now immediately would be better than nothing.
I have a
Anybody else?
question. I
Yes,
have a
Diane.
question. So does that person also get full benefits?
Yes. Yeah, we'd hire them on, same as that, like the elementary math teacher, you know, they'd be part of the bargaining unit. They'd be entitled to, you know, whatever step they come in at, and the benefit package as well.
And then they would know that this is a grant, quote unquote, grant funded position, so that when that funding dries up, so their position is not guaranteed.
Yes, that's correct. We'll advertise and hire as a temporary grant funded position. And we've done this over the years with the Keystones to Opportunity Grant. If you recall, we had technology coaches, we had literacy coaches, and they were all hired on, and finding a position or finding a person to fill that position may be difficult, but we've been able to do it in the past, and we haven't had any problems moving on from there.
One of the things that I had emailed David about, that in my thoughts, is that, you know, as we continue on, I feel like the professional development piece is a big part, to continue to educate our staff in terms of that virtual or virtual type learning, and always looking at, you know, as we move forward, I think the trend will be to have that professional development out there. And I feel like we need to somehow incorporate that into some of this funding.
And Jen, I wouldn't disagree with that. You're absolutely spot on with that. And I could work on those numbers and get some additional money put in there. Just keep in mind, we do have Title IIA money coming in. It's federal money for professional development, and we average about $25,000 per year. But again, you have 60 staff plus the administration and you know, other staff that need to be trained, so it could go by pretty quickly. I could definitely take a look at those numbers and get some professional development tied in.
I could see, my opinion would be cutting the administrator, that supplemental administrator, and using that funds for professional development. And my other question was, and maybe I don't know what they're looking at, but I know that seems like a high price for document cameras. Are we looking at those for a specific reason? Because I know you can get them, you know, a lot cheaper, but maybe, you know, there's more to them than what I know. So
Yeah, there's the document cameras that we're looking at. We have a few of them already. They have a lot more functionality than our basic ones. Our old X-Site document cameras are failing at a pretty quick rate, and they were pretty cheap doc cams. And I know you can get them for $100 to $200, but if we have the funds to get some that'll last for 10 to 15 years, that was Jeff and I's recommendation. They're really, really very good, versatile devices.
okay, thanks, Aaron. I just was curious why they were so much more.
Thanks for that clarification.
I'll make some adjustments to it and get it back out to the school board, and I'll add professional development into it.
Thanks, David.
Sure thing. Thank you all for your feedback, and feel free to shoot me an email afterwards too if you think of anything in addition. Moving on down through, we're down to letter D, and that's a motion to approve the K through 6 school-wide Title I program handbook. Mr. Sherman and Mrs. Longo has been working on that. They've been having stakeholder meetings. They've updated that book, and not only is it a good resource, it's part of the audit that will be coming out as well. Letter E, is a motion to approve the athletic handbook. Somehow they didn't make it onto the agenda last month, but Bill's moving forward with them right now. You'll have the coaches athletic handbook and the students handbook in front of you for your review. And then the final item under the instructional services is a motion to approve a cost of $2,626.58 per student for outside cyber school cost. So if a student was to leave the AC Valley and go to one of the other cyber schools and come back and play sports, that's how much we'll charge that particular cyber school for the cost of maintaining our programs. We took the number of athletes, divided into the overall cost of our athletic program, and we got that number. And that was from a couple of years ago before COVID had struck. Any other comments about instructional services as we move down through the agenda? Okay, we have a number of policies in front of you. They are the second reading, and we've had many discussions about it. Dave Sittler and myself are going to IU6 to do the threat assessment training on Thursday, and we'll be presenting that to not only the entire AC Valley staff, but also the threat assessment teams. We'll be doing a individual training with them. So with our policy in place, the training performed, we'll be in full compliance with threat assessment and obviously ensure safety and the well-being of everybody through the training. I met with Dr. Jordan about the hazing and bullying policy. He's implemented that into the athletic program. And just finishing off with letter H down there, the district social media. I wanted to let the community know that our AC Valley website is the main source of information from the district. I send out a lot of school messenger calls, but really we'll be focusing in on that more so than the Facebook page. The Facebook page is for updates and happenings and such, but the health and safety plan is posted on the district website. I do encourage everybody to get out, take a look at it. It's a easy to use document. I sent out a message to the community and encourage everybody to take a look at that plan to ensure safety getting back into school. I'm meeting with the 2 school nurses tomorrow. We're dive back into putting a plan together for contact tracing, isolation and quarantine, well, if we have any kind of outbreaks. But we feel with a collaborative effort, we can get the school year up and started and keep it running. That's our number one goal. But again, we'll work in conjunction with the PA Department of Health and make sure that we're following their expectations as it relates to COVID. Moving on down through the agenda. Just a quick update about facilities. Mark will be here next week, but we got the parking lot and main drive completed. The elementary elevator, we're waiting on the control panels. The parts have just came in for the elementary HVAC system update, so they'll be in this week and ensures us that that'll be completed before the start of the school year. And the high school cafeteria floor is done. We actually had our end of summer pizza party up there the other day, and it looks fantastic. The guys did a really good job with it. Moving down into transportation, we have a couple items in front of you this evening. The one's just a list of contractors and drivers. Through our audit this past year, it was a recommendation that the board is aware of all our drivers and we ensure that we have all the clearances and proper certification on file. So that's on for vote. We also have under transportation, letter B, Pam Myers to add Lisa Bobbert as a driver. Lori will do the interview. We'll ensure that we have all the appropriate documentation in place before this person drives, but it'll be great to have additional drivers. And then also, I talked to Mrs. Sherman the other day about the up and coming van and bus contracts, and I just wanted to get the discussion started for the 21-22 school year, because in September, you'll have the official contracts once we have them pulled together. Correct, Lori's on the call right now. You won't have that done for Monday. That'll be the September formal voting meeting.
Yes, that happens in September after we have the routes established.
Okay, and we're just looking for some guidance, any kind of thoughts this evening as far as the up and coming contract. Just keep in mind that last year, due to COVID, we went ahead and just wrote out the contracts for the buses that they'd get paid the 177 days, whether we were on session or not. As far as any kind of reimbursement to pay contractors for not being in school this year, I have not heard anything associated with that. So I just wanted to get any kind of direction from the board if you wanted us to present various contracts to you in September, or if you want us just to do the contracts the way they were and they get paid for the days they run.
David,
Yes, Mark.
in the past, I mean, I know we paid it and we weren't guaranteed that we were going to get any reimbursement, but the state did reimburse us for some of that, did they not?
Yeah, that's correct. And Lori, do you remember how much that was? Was that a full reimbursement or was that a percentage of what we paid out?
Do you mean for the spring of 2020 or for this past school year?
This past school year?
I'm not sure. Spring of 2020, I know it was the full reimbursement, but I'm not sure for this past school year.
Yeah, we had to get Zach involved, and it got a little tricky there for a while. Now, I can't recall, but we did get a reimbursement this past year.
I thought it was the full reimbursement because you guys had to do a couple things to make sure they got it, that we got all the money. So I thought it was a full reimbursement this year as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were referencing, like, were we going to get reimbursed for paying them for days that they didn't run? We will get the full reimbursement from the report that we'll submit, because we did all the things that we were required to do in order to do that.
But did that include the days they didn't run? Because we told them we'd pay for those.
I believe so, but in the report, I have to put the days that we did run. So we won't know until we actually get that reimbursement form back from them, which comes about, I want to say October or November, after we submit. I think it was 132 days is what they actually ran last year, with the snow days and the days that we were shut down. So that's the number of days I had to put into the report, because they want to know the days we actually ran. They don't care what we paid them for. But I think in the end, what we'll end up getting reimbursed for, we'll get the same reimbursement we got in 2020 is the way I understood it.
To cover the days they didn't run.
Yeah, minus the increase in pay for this year, because
Okay.
they made more this year than they did last year, but we'll get the same reimbursement as last year.
Okay. Well,
I think.
okay. I remember when we talked about it, I thought the last we talked that it was going to be reimbursed by the state. David had checked on that and we had good news that it was going to be. That was my understanding. So, but as far as next year, I think we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I think that we need to write that back in, that we will pay them for 177 days. And we could add in there that if we're off, then they will, for due to COVID, that they would, do the lunches like we did before. Any other thoughts? I mean, I don't know that I want to, I agree with the bus drivers about not taking lunches on snow days, because I think that's just too iffy of a situation.
I would agree with that, Kelly. And I would, without it's so stinking hard without knowing kind of, what the future holds and, what we would be reimbursed for. That's another difficult piece of it. I guess I would say, to make sure that we're clear that if we're off of school due to COVID, that they'll deliver the lunches and things, since we know that we're going to be getting the free lunches this year. So, I would think that would be acceptable.
Okay, we'll work that into the contracts. And if I'm hearing it correctly, is that both for van and bus contractors or as well, or are we looking at that a little bit differently?
I was looking at both because I don't think we can separate. They're both doing basically the same job, so.
I would agree. If we're going to do it for the buses, we should do it for the vans as well.
I agree as well. I just wanted clarification on that as Lori works on it. Lori, is there anything else that you need, Mark, or did you have a question there or comment?
Well, the only difference, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
Mark.
Lori. No, go ahead.
The only difference in the bus and the vans is like the bus contract specifically states that they get paid for 177 days. The van contracts just state that they get paid per mile. So the issues last year became when we were shut down and the vans weren't running at all, they weren't getting paid anything at all, but the bus drivers were getting paid because we agreed to pay them 177 days. So I think the van drivers would like some kind of, I don't know, similar compensation. I'm sorry?
We need to change the wording then, is what you're suggesting?
I don't know, because I don't know how we would change that wording. We'd have to look at the two contracts. But like the front page, of the bus contract specifically states 177 days. And we don't have anything like that in the van contracts. It just says July 1st to June 30th, because they do run in the summer some with ESY programs and this year summer school programs, whereas the buses don't. And so it's impossible for me to set a number of days for the van drivers.
Yeah.
Because it just depends on the.
Sorry, Lori, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think if you put something in there in terms of the for the van drivers, in terms of our regular school year, which would then cover us from August, whatever, 23rd or 25th, through May 31st or whatever, that you could put in there that they will be paid for a specific number of days during the regular school year, and then to continue on with specific miles on those trips that they make outside of the regular school year.
I think the only issue is those van runs change periodically because the number of students come and go. So we'll have to figure out some kind of average. And Lori and I have worked on that in the past.
Okay.
David, didn't we?
Theirs isn't by day. Go ahead, Mark. I'm not going to interrupt you again.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was thinking, was it in our finance committee meetings? Remember, we tried to resolve this situation and we had all sorts of ideas, but we really didn't come up with one because all of a sudden they started being used again. But we had each van break down how much their costs were and all that stuff. And I don't think we talked about it actually at the school board meeting, but we did talk about it in our financial meeting. But it is difficult because some of the van drivers, don't they go to have other schools they deal with and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Would we not state that whatever days that were out, they would get paid the rate that they would have received on those days had we been in school? And whatever students were on that van as of that day, we were out, the day before, then that would count as the rate for those days? Because like you said, it changes, but it's not going to change if we're out of school.
Right. Yeah, you could do something like that. That's what I'm asking. Like, are we doing anything like that for the vans? If we're going to say that we pay the buses 177 days regardless.
I'm thinking that's what we need to put in there. Yeah, that they would get paid. Let's say we're out November 25th through 28th for some reason. That's over Easter, or excuse me, Thanksgiving. But whatever their pay would have been on November 24th, that's what they would get for the days that we would still reimburse them for van runs for those days for the number of students they had the day before we left. Would that work?
Yeah, we can get some language pulled together for the contract.
Yeah, but just keep in mind that we're not guaranteed reimbursement. I'm all for, doing something for both the bus and van drivers. But this year they did do that special thing with reimbursement. I don't know if they'll do that going forward.
Yeah, I agree, but they have, I just don't want to lose our contract because I don't know what would happen if we lose our contract.
Absolutely. I'm all in favor of compensating them. I just wanted to make it clear that that could be the case and it would be, you know, out of the budget. So we'd have to factor that in.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Jen.
Sorry, I agree with Kelly. I think that, you know, because everything is so up in the air still, and you know, we're gonna have to take the risk of not getting reimbursed for something because we don't want to lose the contractors. I mean, if we would lose one bus, that's really gonna put us, really give a lot of headaches. So I would agree with Kelly.
Sounds good. I appreciate the conversation, and I'm sure the van and bus contractors do as well. Just moving down through, I don't have anything to report. We do have an athletic committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow, and we will be presenting a name to the school board for hire for the new athletic director. And I don't think we have any old business. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed at this time?
David,
Yes.
I was asked today if the seniors, I guess this would be more of a question for Bill, if the seniors would be painting parking spots as in years past. I think it's a fundraiser for the ACVEA or PBIS. I'm not sure what it's for, but are they going to be permitted to do that this year now that the parking lots are complete?
This is Bill. We've discussed, the PBIS team discussed this issue, and being that the parking lot is, you know, newly and freshly paved over with the gravel there, we're going to hold off for this year and not permit that at this time.
Are you going to communicate that to the students? I know two students reached out to me today, so just curious as to if you're going to communicate that to the seniors so that they know.
Yes, the PBIS team actually has communicated that before, but I'll reinforce that. Some may have missed that message.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Carrie. Anybody else? Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and conclude the meeting for the evening, and just keep in mind that we will have a face-to-face voting meeting on August 16th, next Monday. Thank you all. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and I really appreciate everybody's time tonight.
Thank you.